If you're a regular listener to this program, one of the more gleeful things about me and my program to the right-wing knuckle-draggers is the fact that over the past 23 or 24 years, I have been relieved of my broadcast duties several times. And usually, no matter what the stated reason was, it was usually because my political point of view is just getting way too far left for corporate America. That even applied to a certain degree to Air America when I went to work for the network that was supposed to be the be-all, end-all for liberal talk programming, and hence was replaced by something called the Satellite Sisters. Every time I get fired, of course, I get a mountain of email from the booger eaters, the right-wingers, who love to hear all the dissenting voices disappear, so that the only voice they hear in their head, well, two voices, the voice of God, their psychopathic, murderous God, and the voice of whatever right-wing troll has their attention in any given moment. If it's in the morning, it's Beck. If it's in the afternoon, it's Limbaugh. If it's in the evening, it's Hannity. So, I've been through this a number of times. And I decided to take the path of not very much pay, but complete and total independence. The only problem I have now is a lot of our affiliates do not like the language that I use, the cuss words, and I don't blame them for that. But the stations that matter to me have stuck with me. So, having said all that, the news today that Keith Olbermann was essentially fired. Now, whether he comes back or not is, who knows? I'm sure that's between MSNBC and Keith Olbermann. To be suspended from your job indefinitely without pay. What does that sound like to you? I mean, isn't that the same as being fired? Indefinite suspension without pay. There are a number of ways to look at it. I choose to take the paranoid way. That's how it'll be labeled. Comcast, which is a heavy-duty right-wing organization headed by right-wingers, chock-a-block with right-wingers, big cable providers, they are about to, with congressional approval, with congressional approval, well, maybe not last week, but damn sure this week, right? Okay. With congressional approval, Comcast is going to own 51% of NBC. The other 49% will be owned, I guess, for the foreseeable future by General Electric. Comcast does not like Keith Olbermann or Rachel Maddow or any of the so-called liberals. O'Donnell, what's the new guy's name? Oh, Jesus, I'm drawing a blank. The one that usually comes on right after Rachel. Lawrence O'Donnell, right. The last word, is that what it is? These three, O'Donnell, Rachel, and Olbermann, are a real thorn in the side of right-wingers in this country, especially people who own Comcast. So I will, until I hear otherwise, I'll take the position that what was done to Olbermann today was simply a matter of clearing the decks. I don't know what Rachel is thinking. I just watched the opening to her program. She tried to treat the subject with as much levity as possible. I think the world of Rachel. I know her. I don't know Olbermann. I hope she survives. I really do. I hope Lawrence O'Donnell survives. I really do. But with Congress turning over to the Republicans, Comcast is very much aware that the incoming Republican House Telecom chairman, who really doesn't like progressive newscasters and commentators, will back their play. I got an email here from M. As part of the acquisition process, they look at all contracts and consider renegotiating the most costly contracts they find in the NBC portfolio. They think Olbermann is being paid too much and want to force him to renegotiate his contract. Suspended indefinitely without pay forces him to renegotiate. It's a way of firing him without quite firing him. However, indefinitely, that word pretty much means that Olbermann can't come back to MSNBC. He has cause to sue, but if he does, he never works in broadcasting again. It's a setup, and the person who sent this to me said, if I were Olbermann, I would sue. I know I would, because I have in my own life. Olbermann has a chance to establish some important employee rights here. NBC is not only in breach of Olbermann's contract, but they discriminate against Olbermann, allowing other hosts to contribute to political causes, and in so doing have violated Olbermann's freedom of speech as well as freedom of association, and done all this in what a lawyer would call bad faith. In other words, they invented the cause of action in order to harass an employee performing his duties in good faith. The case is not open and shut, but Olbermann has a great case. It's really heartbreaking to me. I knew something was up. When was it? Last week, when he announced that he was going to do away with, he's going to phase out worst persons in the world. One of the more effective little segments of the program that usually came on about 15 minutes before the end of his show, and a segment that no matter what was going on here in my little studio, I would make sure I wouldn't miss. Whoever writes those segments, and I'm sure Olbermann probably wrote most, if not all of them, it was sheer genius, and it was great fun to watch, and he really nailed some of these rancid son of a bitches. Olbermann is directly responsible for Lawrence O'Donnell having a program and for Rachel Maddow having a program. Directly responsible. Without Olbermann's support, neither of these two sterling liberal commentators, Lawrence O'Donnell and Rachel Maddow, I'm guessing, would be on MSNBC without the full-throated support of Keith Olbermann. This, of course, puts Rachel and Lawrence in difficult positions. When I first heard this today, the first shot that went through my head, so to speak, was, well, if I worked there, I would quit. I would go on indefinite leave without pay, the same as they're doing to Olbermann. I realize that Rachel probably can't do that. I realize that O'Donnell probably can't do that, or they might be sued by MSNBC for breach of their contracts. So what they have to do is take the plate of steaming dog crap that MSNBC has put in front of them and smile as they take little bites, but as they eat the entire plate. What else are they going to do? What else, indeed, unless they want to end both of their careers, which I think would be a mistake. As far as Olbermann is concerned, he has been a pain in the ass of the right wing in this country ever since he's been on MSNBC. He started out as kind of a comedic look, kind of a Jon Stewart type of program, if you remember the early days. I can remember I was working for Air America at the time, or maybe it was Air America, or was it IE America? I can remember going on the air one night and saying, hey, y'all ought to check out this guy, this new guy over at MSNBC, Keith Olbermann. He is really something. Well, he's been there, 7, 8 years? I'm getting all kinds of email from people who don't know what the hell to do, and I don't either. But I'm going to have some more on this when we come back from this break, because to me this is an incredibly negative event that occurred today, because Keith Olbermann made 3 contributions of roughly $2,600 each to 3 political candidates. He is effectively fired.